to another video. Today we're watching Macaroni and Cheese from 1845 by Max Miller. You guys like mac and cheese? I do. I do like mac and cheese. I like macaroni cheese. Do you guys know the song? Chet hated that song. Okay, let's go.
I've never met a mac and cheese I don't like. Whether it comes out of a blue box or is served
Yes.
with Gruyere and lobster, mac and cheese.
Oh, that's too fancy to me. Too fancy for me.
Can do no wrong. And so I have high hopes for this 19th century mac and cheese recipe with the fancy name Macaroni à la Reine.
Those are not macaroni. Those are penne.
So thank you to Bright Cellars for sponsoring this video as we celebrate gastronomy's power couple, macaroni and cheese. This time on Tasting History. So if you look at early macaroni and cheese recipes, they tend to be very simple. Pasta, cheese, and butter. The channel Townsends did an excellent video on making one of these early 18th century recipes for mac and cheese, so I'll put a link to that in the description. But since John had already done the 18th century, I decided to move a little bit later to the 19th century when macaroni and cheese started to flex its muscles. And
wasn't cheese really expensive back in the day? Because it was like for fancy people. Well, maybe not at that time anymore. But you know, in like the medieval times, it was like cheese was like fancy.
I found this recipe from 1845 for what I assume Eliza Acton thinks is macaroni and cheese fit
Oh, okay. Only like poor people cheese?
for a queen because she calls it macaroni à la reine. This is a very excellent and delicate mode of dressing macaroni. Boil 8 ounces in the usual way, and by the time it is sufficiently tender, dissolve gently 10 ounces of any rich, well-flavored white cheese in fully 3/4 of a pint of good cream.
See, guys, that sounds very fancy. I don't know, you guys.
Add a little salt, a rather full seasoning of cayenne, from half to a whole saltspoon of pounded mace, and a couple of ounces of sweet fresh butter. The cheese should, in the first instance, be sliced very thin. It should be stirred in the cream without intermission until it is entirely dissolved and the whole is perfectly smooth. The cheese may be poured equally over the macaroni, thickly covered before it is sent to table with fine crumbs of bread fried of a pale gold color. Nothing too complicated in the process, and so it really comes down to what ingredients you're using. So let's start with the macaroni. Now you can make your own at home, but you might run into the same problem that Thomas Jefferson did. See, he actually wrote down a recipe for making macaroni.
Wait, like the president? Wait, did I miss something? Like, yeah? Oh my god. Oh, okay, interesting. Okay.
Along with a diagram of a pasta machine. And then he had one of those machines sent from Italy to America so he could have fresh pasta made for him. But he quickly realized that the pasta was inferior to that he had had in Italy and in France, and it all came down to the flour. He noted that the best macaroni in Italy is made with a particular sort of flour called semola in Naples. So he ended up still importing pasta from Italy, which is actually how most people got their pasta for a very long time. And so, to be appropriate to the period, you're going to want a half pound or 225 grams of dried macaroni. The shape of which is really up to you because at the time, macaroni could refer to pretty much any type of pasta.
Oh, that's why. I thought it was like so infuriating that he uses penne. Guys, what's the best pasta shape? Chad? I like, and also YouTube comments. What do you guys think? What's the best pasta shape? I like are they called spirelli? I like the spirals. Yes, spirelli. I like those a lot as well. Because they get like all the sauce in the crevices and stuff. Spaghetti probably the worst. I feel like spaghetti are the ones that make the easiest mess, you know? Like spaghetti I feel like I didn't know about you guys, but if I like slurp up spaghetti... Actually, this doesn't really happen with spaghetti. This happens more with like ramen and stuff. If I slurp up ramen, I usually, it's like, I get the sauce everywhere. Spaghetti are like hardest to eat. I wonder why they became the most popular. I think they are the most popular.
Eliza Acton even says that there is ribbon macaroni or lasagna. Though the tube shape was becoming the standard when talking about macaroni. The one thing it would not have been is the elbow-shaped macaroni that we know today, because that wasn't made until a bit later. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you are choosing your pasta is that it's of a yellowish tint, by no means white, as one sees them when they are of inferior quality.
What pasta is just white? Aren't they always yellow?
So to prepare...
Or I've had green and red pasta, but that's different, right? Usually they're yellow.
The pasta, she says to add a little salt and a bit of butter the size of a walnut to the boiling water before adding in the pasta. Now, she and other cookbooks from the time say to boil the macaroni at a full rolling boil for 3/4 of an hour. And that's after it's often soaked for an hour or more in milk or water. So I'm going to guess that they very much liked the pasta to be much softer than we often have it today, and the pasta was probably much thicker, so it did take longer to boil.
An hour is crazy. Right? 45 minutes? How long do you guys cook pasta? Maybe like 10 at max. If it's like the thick ones, it's like 10 at max, right? I also prefer when they're like a little bit more on the chewy side. I don't like them too soft.
Not entirely sure, but if you are going to boil it for a full 3/4 of an hour, that'll give you plenty of time to pop open a bottle of wine from today's sponsor, Bright Cellars. And I gotta say...
Again, got me with the sponsor. Yes, al dente. I like al dente.
Wine does go very well with mac and cheese. It also goes really well with Thanksgiving pie. My dad, every year, the day after Thanksgiving, takes a lot of the leftovers and puts them into a pie and then bakes it. And it's absolutely fantastic. You get all the flavors all at once, and I always have it with a nice glass of Cabernet Sauvignon. Though if you don't like Cabernet, that's okay, because with Bright Cellars, you take a quick 7-question quiz, and they match you with wines from all over the world, curated to your taste. The wines show up at your door, and you enjoy. I also love these little cards that they send with information about the different wines. A little education with your libation. The cards tell you about the different flavors that you might find in the wine and where it's from, like this Cabernet from Chile with the whimsical name Dancing Juice. So whether you're going to be sharing this with holiday guests or if you're going to be keeping it all for yourself, give Bright Cellars a try by clicking the link in the description. And right now, Bright Cellars is giving viewers of Tasting History a limited time offer of $50 off of your first 6-bottle box. By just clicking the link in the description, you can get started today. And not only do you get wine, but you also get to support the channel. Now, there are 2 reasons to drink wine. And while you nurse that glass of insert favorite wine here, you can start your cheese sauce. And for that, what you'll need is 10 ounces or 285 grams of white cheese thinly sliced. Now, many old recipes call for Parmesan, but if Parmesan be used for it, it must be grated. But as we have said before, it will not easily blend with the other ingredients so as to be smooth. Use whatever you want. I'm using white cheddar. 1 3/4 cup or 425 milliliters of cream, 4 tablespoons or 55 grams of unsalted butter.
You know what? It's really silly to me, the concept of salted butter. Is that weird? I feel like salted butter, I don't know, it's definitely not the norm here. It's definitely not like the standard butter is always unsalted, you know? For us in Germany. Have you had salted butter before? I don't think so. So we're spreading over toast, nothing else? That's what I thought. I wonder how the Irish butter is different from other butter. Yeah.
A half teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne, and a 1/4 teaspoon of mace. You'll also need some dried breadcrumbs. So first add the cream to a small saucepan and bring to a simmer. Then add the cheese and stir it in until fully melted, and then add the salt, the cayenne, mace, and the butter, and stir everything in. And you can add more or less cayenne and mace to your taste. At the same time, put the breadcrumbs in a dry pan and set them over low heat, keeping them moving so they don't burn. And you'll notice it can take a little while to get those breadcrumbs to that nice golden brown that you want, and yet it takes almost no time to go from golden brown to burnt. Now with the bread...
Dude, that's so real for everything. Everything you ever cook, or I ever cook, is like this. Also, thank you for the idea.
Breadcrumbs, pasta, and cheese sauce all going at the same time, you might not think that this is a good time for a lecture on the history of macaroni and cheese, but here it is anyway.
Time for history!
Pasta with cheese goes back at least to ancient Rome. Cato the Elder's placenta, which I've made here on the channel, is essentially cheese between layers of a proto-pasta called...
Why is it called... I'm sorry, I have to mention this. I have to mention the elephant in the room. Placenta? He said placenta. But is it the same word in Italian for that? I heard, isn't placenta something that you can also eat? I heard some mothers, after they give birth, eat it. I'm sorry, I just had to mention this. Yeah, some women eat the placenta. It's really weird. For me, it sounds really weird, to be honest. I guess it's healthy, but you're eating your own body part. At the end of the day, yeah. Oh, sorry to bring that thought into your mind, you guys. But I had to kind of, I just remembered that. Animal mom usually eat it. I mean, I guess if an animal mom does it, I started it still.
Which I've made here on the channel is essentially cheese between layers of a proto-pasta called tracta. By the Middle Ages, a dish with many of the same components begins to appear, lasagnes. The 14th century recipes usually call for pasta to be layered with cheese and then sweet spices like cinnamon and sugar. And the English form of curry from around 1390 has a recipe that just calls for pasta, butter, and cheese, and they call it macarons. In the mid-14th...
Wait, oh, body part placenta is named after the cake! Oh! Huh?
...century, in the Decameron, Giovanni Boccaccio wrote of the town of Bengodi, a sadly fictional place where on a mountain all of grated Parmesan cheese dwell folk that do naught else but make macaroni and ravioli and boil them in capon's broth. And he says they would roll the pasta down the Parmesan mountain where people would scramble to get their hands on this mythical medieval mac and cheese. Now, regional differences between macaroni also begin to appear. Naples, Genoa, Rome, they all had variations in the flour quantity, the shape of the pasta, and in their preparation. In 1465...
Something about thinking about medieval mac and cheese is makes it so fancy, Is it just me?
Maestro Martino's recipe for macaroni romaneschi calls for it to be plated with good cheese, butter, and sweet spices. Similar flavors to the earlier recipe from England. And the macaroni connection between Italy and England is rather complex. It appeared in the form of curry in 1390, and then the first recipe called macaroni and cheese, or rather to dress macaroni with Parmesan cheese, appeared in Elizabeth Raffles' 1769, The Experienced English Housekeeper.
Dude, the text back then was also so silly. Like, what do you mean this is an S? It looks like it's a lisp, like in text. It looks like they wrote a lisp in text. I know it was just different back then, but it looks like English housekeeper. No, it's not my first time watching Taste in History. I have a few reacts of them on my channel. Looks like Jern for real. No, it doesn't.
But around that same time, there's a linguistic curveball thrown because in England, the term macaroni not only referred to pasta, but also to a type of fashion. Yankee Doodle went to town a-riding on a pony. He stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni. Every American knows that song, and by the end of the...
Really? That's so cute. Oh.
American Revolution, it had become a patriotic ditty, but it actually started off as a bit of an insult to the colonists. Some claim that it was a way to mock the colonists by saying that they were so uncouth that merely by putting a feather in their cap they thought that they were fashionable. But I'm pretty sure it was actually a way to attack their masculinity. See, in the mid-18th century, it had become popular for the wealthy young men of England to take their grand tour, which was a lengthy trip around the European continent with a focus on the splendors of the Italian peninsula.
Wait, that's so funny. That's like, how nowadays some people go backpacking or something. That's so interesting. It's like, traveling has always been part. Wait, well, that's such an obvious thing to say, Mip. No, I can't. That's too obvious to say. Traveling has always been a part of human history, and it still is. But that's like too obvious. Hey, come on.
While there, they would develop a taste for the finer things in life, elegant fashion, sophisticated manners, and an appreciation for top cuisine like the Italian macaroni. And similar to the Finer Things Club from The Office, these young sophisticates became members of what was called the Macaroni Club. And when they returned to England, they wore their ostentatious outfits and their bejeweled wigs.
Bro, how do you even handle this? First of all, how do you even make a wig like this? But also, like, come on. How? You live like this? You wear this every day? Huh? First American president had wooden teeth? So combine gummy teeth for soft mac and cheese? Hey! Wooden teeth. I didn't even know you could do that. I guess at this stage it handles you. True.
And had there been a RuPaul's macaroni race 250 years ago, they might have become cultural icons. But that is not how it turned out. See, the style of dress coincided with a time where it was very popular to mock the wealthier classes, and the fashion just made it too easy. In 1770, the Oxford magazine declared, "There is indeed a kind of animal, neither male nor female, a thing of the neuter gender, lately started up among us. It is called macaroni. It talks without meaning, it smiles without pleasantry, it eats without appetite, it rides without exercise, it wenches without passion." They were ahead of their time, and the style was short-lived, and the term macaroni returned to meaning pasta. But again, any pasta. Especially...
Dude, macaroni having so many different meanings is so silly. Oh my god. Here says so nuts. Okay, now I saw it. It looked a lot. It does look a lot more like a caricature now. But I see that. Interesting. I didn't know that.
without macaroni, any shape of pasta was still called macaroni. In fact, if you look at the many paintings and later photographs titled Macaroni Eaters, they are almost always Neapolitans eating long strands of pasta with their hands. More like fettuccine.
I didn't know they would eat with their hands. It even has sauce on it. It has sauce, but they still eat it with their hands.
Fettuccine or spaghetti today. And that may be what Thomas Jefferson saw when he visited Italy in 1787, though he had surely come in contact with macaroni being eaten with a fork when he was in Paris. When he moved to France in 1784, he brought along his enslaved chef, James Hemmings.
Oh. Well, no, of course they eat it with their hands, but I mean, like, with their bare hands. Like, they eat it without fork or knife. Yeah, without cutlery.
And as Jefferson did his diplomat thing, Hemmings was learning the art of French cooking. He studied under several of France's greatest chefs at the time and is often considered to be the first American chef trained in France. And when they returned to America, Hemmings brought many of the recipes he learned with him, some of which Jefferson wrote down, like the macaroni. And I intend to do an entire episode on James Hemmings, but for the purpose of this episode, it's important to know that it was likely his macaroni recipe that helped make macaroni popular in the United States, because Thomas Jefferson pushed the dish on everyone. Shortly after...
Bruh, what's he? Okay, I kind of get that though. Oh my god, he's the guy who keeps telling you to watch his favorite show, but with macaroni and cheese. Ah, thank you for the stitch. Thank you.
After he became president, Jefferson served a macaroni pie at a state dinner in 1802. Hemmings had passed away by then, but it was likely his recipe or a version of it that was used. And it's unclear if it had any cheese in it, and it wasn't actually a universal hit at first. One guest of the dinner, a member of the House of Representatives, Reverend Manasseh Cutler, said, February 6th, Saturday, dined at the president's, dinner not as elegant as when we dined before. Among other dishes, a pie called macaroni, which appeared to be a rich crust filled with the strillions of onions or shallots, which I took it to be, tasted very strong and not agreeable. Another guest was Meriwether Lewis of Lewis and Clark, and when Cutler asked about the...
It's kind of insane, because like nowadays mac and cheese is like one of those dishes everyone likes, you know? Everyone likes it.
Onions in the dish, Mr. Lewis told me there were none in it. It was an Italian dish, and what appeared like onions was made of flour and butter with a particularly strong liquor mixed with them. So he doesn't mention cheese in the dish, but after dinner he says, we drank tea and viewed again the great cheese. And at first I thought maybe he was talking about the macaroni dish, but no. Rather, it is a wheel of cheese that was given to Jefferson as a gift. And Jefferson kept it in its own dedicated room, and people would travel for days just to have Jefferson invite them to the mammoth room and see the mammoth cheese.
Dude, that's like my dream. I want a cheese like that, you guys. I want a big cheese like that. I want it. But also, I'm scared I can't finish it before it goes bad. This is like something you can only have if you're... Also, it's expensive, right? Like, come on. But also, like, this is something you can only have if you often have people, eat it, you know? Oh my god. Finish it in 1 hour? I don't believe that. I'm a cheese gobbler, okay? I'm a cheese enjoyer, but that much cheese? That's so much cheese. So
and if you
much
think
cheese.
politics is divisive now, back then even the cheese was partisan, as the man who made it said that when it came to the milk used to produce the cheese, no federal cow must contribute a drop. And that might explain why Cutler was such a grump at the dinner, because he, like the unrepresented cows, was a Federalist. Now while Cutler...
What does it mean? What's a federal cow? What's a... Huh? What does it mean? Is that like a, you know, is that like a domesticated one? Unlike a wild cow? Is that what it means? Government cow? Politics?
might have not been wooed by the macaroni. Most of the population was, because it starts appearing in many of the early cookbooks from America, including The Virginia Housewife or Methodical Cook in 1824. It was written by Mary Randolph, and it does have cheese. And the fact that Mary Randolph was a close cousin to Thomas Jefferson and spent time with the family makes me wonder if her recipe is not in some way influenced by a version that James Hemmings served 50 years earlier. Now, macaroni at this point was still mostly being imported from Italy, so it wasn't inexpensive. And so the dish, rather than calling it simply macaroni and cheese, would often be given more elaborate names, like macaroni à la sauce blanche or macaroni à la reine.
Okay, buddy. Yeah, make it fancy. Guys, I'm gonna have some macaroni à la sauce blanche today. We should bring fancy like words back. Do you know about the biggest cheese cave in the world in America? Yes! We watched a video about that. The cheese bunker. Yes! That's also pretty insane. First one is just macaroni with white sauce and French. Oh, but if it's French, it sounds fancy, you know?
The one that we're making today. And even as the price of pasta started to come down, it was still generally known as a rather luxurious dish among the wealthy. But there was a concerted effort to change this. In 1855, Alexis Soyer, one of Victorian England's most celebrated chefs, wrote of vermicelli and macaroni. Pray, Eloise, why should not the workman and mechanic partake of these wholesome and nutritious articles of food, which have now become so plentiful and cheap? Macaroni is now selling in London at 5 pence per pound, and makes 4 pounds of food when boiled. And it took a while, but eventually it did become accessible to the masses. But once everyone was eating it, it kind of lost its appeal amongst the wealthy, and so the fancy French-named macaroni and cheeses fell off of the menus of nicer restaurants.
Bruh. Come on. Come on. We don't want to eat that anymore because poor people eat it. If it's good. Come on.
Especially those in the northern United States. But in the southern United States, it remained rather popular, especially amongst the African American population. This is also where we start to see that divide between southern soul food style of macaroni and...
Sorry. That looks so good. That looks so good.
cheese, which is made with real cheese, and the boxed version.
Okay, that looks also good, I'm not gonna lie.
That's made with processed cheese. And for the evolution of that processed macaroni and cheese, we actually have to go to Switzerland, because both the macaroni and the cheese started there. It was in Lucerne in 1872 that elbow-shaped macaroni was first produced.
Oh my god. Hörnli. You guys, Swiss German. As someone who speaks only like standard German, maybe like northern dialect, but mostly just standard German, Swiss German is very cute. Is that I don't know, cause like there's like the Hörnli, that sounds just like a Pokemon. With broken French on the box. Isn't that like there's also Swiss French, no? There's also Swiss French, no? Beschissig. Yeah. I don't know if I told YouTube the story before, but I went to the UK last month. Yeah, last month. And on my way back, I had to take a detour through Switzerland, okay? So I landed in Switzerland. And then at the airport, there was like a lady who worked there, and she spoke to me in Swiss German at first, and I just stared at her. I was like trying to process what she was saying, and then she repeated the same thing in English. I think she just thought I couldn't speak German, but like, and I felt so like embarrassed afterwards. Oh God, because I just couldn't understand the Swiss dialect. And then later on, I feel like if she gave me a few more seconds to process it, I feel like I could have understood. But yeah, it's very different from standard German. Oh, I have the same feeling with Dutch. It just sounds like how kids speak. No, it's not like how kids speak. It's a lot harder to understand for me. You know what a Gipfeli is? No, I don't know a Gipfeli. I don't know Gipfeli. Beschissig almost sounds like beschiss. I don't know what beschissig is.
And completely unrelated, in 1911, it was two Swiss food chemists who were looking for a way to extend the shelf life of Emmentaler cheese that came up with the first processed cheese. Basically, cheese takes a while to mature, but then once it is, it goes bad really, really quickly and can become poisonous if you eat it. And so they would melt it.
I don't know why I associate like artificial cheese with America so much that I kind of forgot. I didn't realize it was actually from Switzerland. Also, no offense against Americans, obviously, but like, for example, like the Kraft mac and cheese, right? Yeah.
Down to kill all of the bacteria and mold, and then add sodium citrate. That would keep the melted cheese from separating, and then it could be re-solidified into a block of processed cheese. But did the Swiss put their elbow macaroni and processed cheese together? No, it took a Canadian to do that.
Oh! Okay, see? Okay.
James Lewis Kraft was born in 1874 and
That's
grew up
Mr.
on his family's
Kraft.
dairy farm in Stevensville, Ontario. In 1903, he went into the wholesale business when he moved to Chicago and started selling cheese to grocers off of the back of a rented horse-drawn wagon. The issue was with cheese's short shelf life, he had trouble selling in bulk, and during the summer, without refrigeration, he had trouble selling it at all. So doing a little research, he came across...
Yeah, the man himself. I wonder if he also has like German or Swiss ancestors though, because the word Kraft, it means power, you guys. In German.
across the same process that the Swiss had and melted it down and then added sodium phosphate, which seemed to work better for his cheddar. He canned the cheese and sold it in bulk all year round. And in 1916,
Nice.
he patented the process just before America went into World War I. That's when he sold 6 million pounds of Kraft cheese to the American government to be sent unspoiled to the front lines in France. The cheese business boomed. He expanded and bought Velveeta in 1927, but still,
Oh my god, I have seen Velveeta cheese. You guys, you know those like TikToks that are like just really cursed food with a lot of with a lot of the Velveeta cheese, and then I don't know. I wish I had like an example, but those cursed TikTok food examples that are just like throwing things together and then melting them together. I don't want to slander the Velveeta. I feel like the people who made those videos slandered it, okay? Yeah.
the marriage between macaroni and processed cheese had yet to be realized. But
Oh.
then the Great Depression hit. The
Oh.
story goes that during the Depression, Grant Leslie, a Scottish salesman working in St. Louis, Missouri, was selling his pasta and to make it more enticing would put a rubber band around it with a packet of Kraft cheese. Well, Kraft saw this, loved the idea, and decided we could do that. And in
Damn.
1937, they introduced Kraft Dinner, a
Dude, geniuses. Geniuses. Crazy. And then it was also macaroni shaped.
meal for four in 9 minutes for an everyday price of 19 cents.
Whoa! 90 cents!
Box could feed a family of 4, or a max of 1. 8 million boxes of Kraft Dinner were sold that first year, and by 1943, 80 million boxes were sold because during World War II, protein from meat and dairy were hard to come by.
Okay, yeah, 1930s money. How much is that now? Bye bye, guys. Good night. Good night. With a lot more today. I mean, more, but like, it's still gonna be cheap. 300. Okay, I don't think it's gonna be that much, but $2. That's still a good price, I think, for a meal. I mean, ramen is cheaper though. Ramen is cheaper, I guess.
And that box of mac and cheese packed a lot of protein for just 1 ration coupon. It was also a quick meal for a time when women were working in factories and not at home cooking the complicated meals of years past. And even after the war ended, that quick meal was awful enticing, as one of the radio ads said, "Don't hurry, puff and wheeze, there's a main dish that's a breeze." Kraft Dinner first came in a yellow box, and in 1954 they switched over to the blue box.
I like the other box more. This one's like trying to make it too fancy. It's mac and cheese, okay? It's good on its own. It doesn't need tomatoes. Yeah. Oh, $3.79 today. Still a good price. It is.
And as popular as Kraft macaroni and cheese is here in the United States, it's actually much more popular under its original name, Kraft Dinner, or now KD, up in Canada, where it's often called the unofficial meal of Canada. One thing I find interesting is that today we just take the packet of cheese and...
But it's interesting. I didn't realize it was from Canada. I just associated with the US mostly. I do like Kraft Dinner. I've had it before. I was able to get it at like an international food store. but mostly it was mostly an American food store, and they had like Kraft Dinner, so I was like, I gotta try it. It was a lot sweeter than I expected, though. Like it was good, but it was sweeter than I expected.
Mix it with some milk and then the pasta, and you're good to go. But in 1938, when it first came out, they actually had recipes to kind of spruce it up. And one of the first recipes had a pinch of
Really?
cayenne pepper, just like the
Whoa.
Victorian recipe that I'm about to eat.
Okay, but I'm not gonna lie, I added some pepper to mine as well when I had it. Yeah.
So once all of the components of the mac and cheese are ready, put the drained pasta into a dish or a pan and pour the cheese sauce over it, making sure everything is well coated. Then sprinkle on the toasted breadcrumbs and serve. And here we are, macaroni à la reine, fancy Victorian mac and cheese. Here we go.
How is
All right,
it?
straight off, my favorite part, the breadcrumbs.
Yeah, I kind of thought like the breadcrumbs are a good addition. At first, when he introduced the breadcrumbs, I thought he was gonna like mix them in with the sauce, but it's a lot better as a topping, obviously.
I could put like a whole loaf of breadcrumbs on here. They just add such a wonderful texture. The rest of the texture is like macaroni and cheese. I mean, very, smooth and creamy with the texture of macaroni. The flavor is really going to depend on what cheese you use, because I'm not getting a lot of. I take that back. I am getting some of the mace and and that cayenne, especially at the very, very end. It takes a second. At first, it's like all I'm tasting is the cheese. And it's wonderful, but like I said, whatever cheese you use, that's the main flavor. But then you get that mace and that cayenne. What's interesting is it actually reminds me of the rice soup in the Third Class Titanic video. And thinking back on that, the main ingredients, the flavors there were mace and cayenne. And it's kind of from around the same period. It's about 50 years later, I guess. But that's really interesting. Basically, instead of cheese and macaroni, it's rice and milk with those spices. So you should give this one a shot. Or
That just shows you how important the spices are, you guys.
any of the other old
But also
macaroni and cheese dishes, and definitely put
Cheese.
breadcrumbs. I'm going to start doing that just on like Kraft macaroni and cheese, because
Yeah.
that's really, really fantastic. So make a bowl of mac and cheese, and I will see you next time on Tasting History.
Yay! That was awesome. I want to make this. I want to make it more. I want to eat more mac and cheese in my life. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Come over to Twitch to watch me live. Make sure to subscribe to Max Miller and check out the original video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye YouTube. Bye bye.